Welcome everyone to sportsbookreview.com. It's the Australian Open 2020, the first Grand Slam event of the year. The other day we went with World Capper, Snize and James. I've dropped Snize. Snize went 6-6 last night. If you watched the video, you're in the money. So that's the reason he's not here today, because he's out spending, which we like. World Capper, he's obviously busy, so we had to get in. Next man up, it's Spread. So Spread, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Flash. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. It's absolutely my pleasure. We have a lovely pool of proper tennis knowledgeable grandmasters, I like to say. James is the one that keeps quiet, just gives out his winners. We just have a complete balance of everybody. Talking to James. James, how are you?
Not too bad. It was actually me who did the 6 out of 6 yesterday.
No.
So I don't know what Snize is doing.
No. We give the credit to Snize because he's not here, James. You know that. It's a tough school. There's no need for you to go 6-6.
My bad.
Anyway, yesterday's winners, that's fish and chip paper. That's now just, we use that in England. Yesterday's paper, fish and chips goes in, wrap them up, and then we go out the door. So we start again, we go again. Congratulations, by the way, James. Phenomenal. But I expect nothing less from you. You are the one, you are top of the class. You bring that teacher an apple to school every single day. Spread, what have you made of the first round matches so far?
Oh boy, it was a pretty chalky first night, and then we had some upsets last night. Been a ton of exciting tennis. Obviously, the weather pushed the matches back, so we had just a jam-packed slate yesterday. They were able to get most of the first-round matches in, so it's a little lighter slate for us tonight. But boy, the beginning of these first rounds can be overwhelming with the number of matches that we're looking at handicapping. But as for a fan and a gambler, it's a tennis fan's dream. So having so much fun watching the fortnight so far.
Yeah, the only thing is the sleep deprivation when I'm trying to get hold of you at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning and you are still knocking out them Zeds. This gives me a great opportunity to mention the 60,000 subscribers that we already have with SBR Sports Picks or sportsbookreview.com. Be one of them. Subscribe, press the button, and you'll be notified for every single video that we put out. And I'll tell you now, there's more videos coming out with nearly every single sport across the world. So press a button, become one of the family, and that's exactly what we are. We are a family. 60,000 so far. I want to get that to 100,000 by the end of the year. Let me get back to the tennis. James, Pliskova. I've gone with her. You went with her. Wales gone with her. And the draw's opened up for her.
It has indeed, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's exactly what we wanted. I think she's able now to hopefully take some advantage of that section, maybe have a deep run. She looked good in the first round. So, yeah, I'm still liking her price.
I bet you are. I bet you are.
Yeah. So turning to the first round matches, though.
Oh, okay. So you're just hurrying me along. What have you got? You got a date or something?
I'm trying to follow the graphics here, Flash. Come on, I'm trying to be kind to you.
Yeah, but I haven't called for the graphics yet. You know what I mean?
Oh, they've disappeared.
Go on, James. Start me off on your best bets for the men, please.
Right. Okay. So the first one I've gone for is the first set tiebreak in Tsitsipas against Kohlschreiber at plus 380.
Okay.
So there's a few things going into this one. The most obvious one for me is the playing styles in this kind of situation. They're both basically heavy hitters. You have two players who have a very good serve. Tsitsipas in particular is very tall, relatively serve orientated. They win most of their points by out-hitting the other player. They don't tend to outlast their opponents the way that someone like Simon or Djokovic would. And that usually means when you have quicker courts, you have two players who seem to be in good form at the minute, that they'll be able to get a lot of 1-2 punches off their own serve. They'll be able to dominate behind that serve a lot if they are able to maintain their form. Now, of course, Tsitsipas we're not particularly worried about. He's a player who's been in phenomenal form. He's been incredibly consistent the past year. But Kohlschreiber's been up and down. He's been one of those players who, as he's got a bit older, he's clearly experienced some age-related decline. He had a very poor patches in the season last year and the year before. But he's come back this year. He's won a challenger event at the start of the year and looked very clinical through that event. It wasn't that he was playing well above his usual level. He was still playing the same kind of game he's always played, but he was very, very solid, Doesn't look like he's dealing with any injury issues right now. And then he came out in the first round here, and he was very, very, very solid again. And so for me, it's one of those situations where I think as long as he keeps his head together, as long as he plays his own game, he should have enough to hold off Tsitsipas for at least a set. And I quite like the price on the first set tiebreak. I doubt he'll break Tsitsipas. Maybe they break each other, but I think it's more likely that it's a very tight serve-orientated first set, especially given the quicker courts in Australia, the heat. You're often going to get these longer first sets.
And at plus 380, that's a great start to the card.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your second one?
Price. Right, so the second one that I've gone for in the men's is Anderson Fritz over 39.5 games at minus 115. Now, again, this is one of those ones, you can go for a few different markets in this match. The tiebreak market is also good, but the price is not great. Whereas with the overline, they're giving us a line that I would expect on most tight matches. So any players who are priced pretty close to evens, this kind of line is going to be relatively reasonable. And of course, these two are guys who are both, I mean, Fritz is 6'4", Anderson 6'9", I think. They're both very tall, big servers, serving really well this week. I would not expect either of them to lose comfortably. I think both of them are very likely to win a set. And more importantly, I think the sets are likely to average at least 10 games, which is what we need for this. I think it's much more likely to get at least 1 or 2 tie breaks or 7-5s. So yeah, again, I think that's a good price. I think that's the kind of line that doesn't make a lot of sense to me with this matchup.
Yeah, and we like Anderson to go further in the tournament as well. I think that we had someone tip him up, and he was an absolute monster of a price. Yeah. Spread, don't you getting nervous on me? But obviously you've heard about the 6 out of 6. You've heard about our outright women having an absolute cakewalk through, hopefully, to the semi-final. So give me your men's best bets, please.
All right, the first one I'm going to go with is Jannik Sinner over Martin Fucsovics, and I got that at minus 125. What I'm basically trying to do here is I'm going to get ahead of the market before everybody figures out what a phenomenal talent the young Sinner is. He finished the year very strong. People are starting to come along to his talent, and I think his ceiling is a lot higher than Fucsovics. Obviously, Fucsovics has a lot more experience, and that could come into play. But what I've seen here with Sinner is a young player who's on the rise, and I think he's a little undervalued on the market because I don't think that people really know who this kid is. But if he continues the way that I expect this tournament, they're going to know by the end of the tournament, and the value might be gone. So we're going to grab it right now, and I'm going to take Sinner over Fucsovics at minus 125.
Well, see, listen, this 125, that's decent value in tennis. That's almost like a pick 'em, that's a coin flip. But you give me your second one, and most people are going to not even have a clue why you've gone for it.
Oh, and that's Benoit Paire over Marin Cilic. And basically the reason I'm doing that here is I think that Cilic is a little overvalued because of the name value here. You know, in tennis we have a lot of the name value. Cilic, very accomplished career, great player, and the quicker services should help his game. But the thing is, he's not been playing very well lately, very up and down with his game and the form that he's been able to find. And Benoit Paire, boy, talk about a guy whose form is tough to handle. Paire is all over the map, almost Kyrgios-like in the way that it's hard to handicap his matches. So what I'm doing here is basically going for a value play. I think the implied probability of Paire showing up, being able to play his best game and run Cilic off the court is much higher than the plus 210 that I'm able to get. So it's basically a value play. I mean, I'm not saying this is lock or he's for sure to make it, but I definitely think that he wins more often than the plus 210 value provides us. So I'm going to go for Paire here. I'm going to hope that he shows up and plays his best tennis because Paire at his ceiling, at the top of his form, can definitely defeat Cilic, and we're getting a great price here.
Okay, I'm just going to go over that one and see if you can see where I'm educating you. Benoit Paire to beat Marian Cilic.
Chile, okay, so excuse my pronunciation.
Top man, don't mind getting me own back. Okay, next one, please. Absolutely flying at a minute with your plus 210. Next one is
For me, and I'm going with the Kevin Anderson over Taylor Fritz. I think James hit it perfectly. This is going to be a close match. We're going to see a ton of tie breaks, and this is where I expect Anderson's veteran presence to be able to shine through. I think that with the fact that he has so much experience playing in these type of situations, I think that's going to shine through in what I expect to be a very close match. And I'll tell you what, I think James' look on the over is quite fantastic as well. I think we're going to see a long time-wise, but as far as, a lot of sets, a lot of games, and that's where we're going to see Anderson and his veteran presence shine through and be able to get those tough points in the tiebreak. So I'm looking to Anderson to beat Fritz, and I'm relying on this Grand Slam veteran to go ahead and to make another run here at the Australian Open, coming off a year last year was quite disappointing with injuries, but watched him. I know he struggled in his last match, and some people think that he'll be a little fatigued, but I actually think that's good. I think that it was good that he was on court, got some time, got some rhythm, and was able to win a tough match. I think that's great for his mentality. I think it's great for his form to get a long, strong match in, and so I'm looking at Anderson as a veteran to overcome the young upstart American in Taylor Fritz.
Like it. And this is normally where I do these shows. I put the great minds together. I take your ingredients and I come up with a beautifully lovely, tasty cake. And my cake in this one is Kevin Anderson and the over 39.5 games parlay. Take a little bit from both of you, spread a little bit of fairy dust on it, and you'll get plus figures. So just enjoy. Next one, please, spread.
All right, and this one I took Andrei Rublev, and I took him at -7 if you want to lay the juice, -135, or if you're a little more confident, which actually I think now that we've discussed, a flash might be a better value, -7.5 at +100. My handicap here is basically Rublev is coming into this tournament in great form, and these courts fit his style quite well. I think this is a great style matchup. I don't think that Sugita is going to be able to put any pressure on his serve at all, and which is going to lead Rublev to be able to get a couple breaks in each set, and I think that he's going to be able to cruise to a victory. I think it's a great style matchup and a wonderful second round for Rublev, who's looking to really bounce back as a top Russian player. He was kind of outshined by Daniil Medvedev last year. I think that he's very close to Medvedev in talent, and now that he needs to get some results to back it up, I think this is a great opportunity for him, and I expect him to cruise and cover the 7 or 7.5 quite easily.
Yep, and the big thing is we know all about Rublev. We've watched him all last year. We've covered him. We've gone right into him, and it's all about his serve having no pressure on him. Because when he has got pressure on that serve, he double faults, he just throws away points. But if he gets into a rhythm and he feels that he's a flat track bully and his talent then comes out, so Rublev to dominate the service, he will then absolutely fly at -7. James, thanks for that, by the way, spread. That was a great debut. Obviously, it will be assessed more on obviously results. But take me away with the women, please, James.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the women. I've got a favourite who I think is a little bit too long, and that is Swiatek against Babos. So you can take the money line. I've gone for the games handicap because I think it's personally slightly better value. It's -2.5 games at -110 against Babos. Look, this is basically just a completely contrasting form, and it's one of those matches where the price doesn't look huge. I think Swiatek is clearly a favourite for me. Probably would have had it closer to 1.4 as opposed to the 1.6 she is. Hence my bet on the handicap. But it's one of those matches where basically over the last year, Babos has consistently shown that she is lacking in these kind of matchups. Whenever she's been priced up as a slight underdog against a pretty good performer, someone who's doing well, someone in good form, she's just consistently not had that extra bit you need to really push them. And Swiatek, by contrast, has been excellent. She's been incredibly consistent. She's been someone who you can quite reliably bet on to at least play her best tennis, to come out and to perform well. And I think if she does that today, that should be enough. And I think she will. So, yeah, that's why with that one. The second bet is Stojanovic against Pavlyuchenkova. Now, this is a little bit more speculative to me because I think Pavlyuchenkova is playing well this year. She has looked good to me. But it's one of those classic situations where I think when someone like Pavlyuchenkova, she tends to play better against the better players. She's a counterpuncher. She's the kind of player that plays off the other player's energy. So if you have a low-ranked player who is very powerful, very effective, has a very good overall game, they can push her because she's not going to hit them off the court. She's going to at least have to play that same kind of game where she has a lot of bounce back, a lot of back and forth. So for me, I think we can get plus 300 on Stojanovic, and that to me is definitely half a point too long, if not a little bit more than that. I think she's a younger player, but she's got a lot of talent, and she's been playing really well the past year. She's been a bit of a cash cow for value bettors, people who like to bet on underdogs. And again, I just think she's likely to push Pavlyuchenkova more than the price implies.
Do you think the way forward here for Stojanovic is actually to take the pace off of the ball? Because obviously Pavlyuchenkova, she likes to use the pace of the opposition against them. So I'm thinking a few cuts, a few slices, just basically make her go and win the points and force the issue.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that she's been good at. I mean, generally speaking, she's quite good at thinking about the matches and she has her own game style, of course, every player does, but she's quite good at bringing those slight additions, those slight changes, thinking about it just a little bit more. And as you say, like, for someone like Pavlyuchenkova, it might be, even if it's not her natural game, that slowing it down a bit really helps, slicing through the ball, giving her a few more awkward looks. Yeah, that could be a good tactic.
Yeah, we like that, especially at plus 300. You don't need too many of them to be showing good profit. Spread, can you give me any of your female picks, please?
Oh, yes, I'd love to. My first one is Ajla Tomljanovic over Garbine Muguruza. And my idea here is basically we have two players in completely different mind frames right now. Garbine Muguruza just switched coaches. She's now with Conchita Martinez. I think this is going to bode well for her this season. But unfortunately, right now, she's been very sick and has not been able to hit the practice court as well. We saw a very erratic performance from her last night where she won 0-6. 6-1, 6-0, giving us the elusive 3-set under, after the first set where she looked absolutely completely off her game. She was able to put it together and blow Rogers off the court. I think that's why we're going to get a little value off Ajla. If you just tuned in for the last two sets, you would think this girl's ready for a Grand Slam. Garbine's got great name value, and she has a much higher ceiling than Ajla. I would definitely contend. But the fact is right now, she's still kind of settling in with her new coach and definitely not feeling 100%. Now she's going against a player in Ajla who mentally has looked better than I've ever seen her in her whole career. She's been having delightful press conferences, just a lot of fun to watch, joking with the media, really comfortable in her own skin, and some changes in her personal life that I think have affected her in a very positive manner. And what we get here is we get a player who's going to force Garbine to make mistakes. Ajla can be very consistent off both sides, and she's very good at coaxing errors out of her opponents. So I think that we're going to be able to take advantage of I think that Ajla should be favored. So we're going to take advantage of Garbine's name value as a former Grand Slam champion going against a player that a lot of casual punters might not know about. And we're going to take Ajla Tomljanovic to overcome Garbine Muguruza at plus 115.
Yeah, and Muguruza, she will be someone that we will be mentioning later on in the year without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, listen, she is an absolute top draw, and I liken her a little bit to Stan Wawrinka. I've been injured, give her a bit of a time, and she will be back there. But the talent in the women's game is like 1 to 20. Put a needle in a haystack and pull it out because they all have the ability and the weapons to win. What's your second one, Spread?
All right, my second pick, and this is really a tough one to make because both players look so fantastic in their first round. So I'm going to go matchup based, and that's Petra Martic to overcome Ulia Gorgas, who both players, I'm big fans of both of their games. And boy, Ulia looked great yesterday, serving quite well. And that's the key to her game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and look at the matchup here, right? And we know that Yulia is a big hitter. She likes quick points. I think that Martic is going to be able to extend those points, force Yulia to hit 2 or 3 winners, where against some of the slower players with less movement, the point would already be over. I think this can frustrate her. And with Yulia kind of rounding herself back into form, not 100% yet. Martic closed out the year fantastically. finally living up to her potential after injuries. The past 2 seasons before that had kind of derailed her career and kind of knocked us off the radar of tennis fans. She's come back, and she's come back with a vengeance. She's playing quite well right now, and I think that her consistency and the fact that she has a pretty good serve too, so it's going to be very tough for Yulia to break. It's just going to be too much for Gorgas to overcome here. So I'm looking at Petra Martic to overcome Gorgas, and I think I got a slight dog price on that. Yes, I did. I got a plus 105 with Petra Martic in what should be one of the best matches of the day today.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it and thought that this has definitely got 3 sets wrote all over it. And if it goes straight sets, I fancy Martic. I think they've got them as obviously a pick-em, but you've got your plus 105, which is great value. On to the next one, please, Fred.
And this one is going to be the fieriest match, maybe, of the whole Australian Open. We have Danielle Collins, who is just a firecracker on court, going against a player who might be even more emotive and wild on court, and that's Yulia Putintseva. How much fun is this going to be for us to watch? And I'm thinking that Collins here, she came into great form, and she loves the conditions here. She thrives in the heat. So while some of these players, especially the Eastern European players, don't like the heat at all, she loves it. She loves Australia. She's even talked about moving there when she retires, which is how much she loves the climate in Australia. And this is a great place for her. She's done well here in the past before. And I think that Yulia, she looked pretty good last night against Su Wei-Shea, who's a very tough player to play against because Shea has a variety of slices. She really thinks on the court and forces you. She gives you a variety of look and really forces you to dig deep to be able to defeat her because she's not just going to hit the ball back and forth with her. But I don't think that now you're switching to a completely different style with Danielle Collins, who's good off both sides, but particularly on her backhand side. She can really rip the ball. If she gets into a lot of backhand-to-backhand rallies with Putintseva, she's going to be able to pull it out. I expect her to be able to hold serve fairly easily, and I really think that she has a higher ceiling and she's a more talented player. So I'm going to have her cover the minus 3.5 games and overcome Yulia Putintseva in what should be one of the most fun matches to watch on the slate this evening.
Danielle Collins was one of the women that actually featured in our futures or our outright program. Obviously, had a great year last year. They expect her to take the next step up this year, and a whole team. They come from Australia. They're based in Australia. She loves Australia. It's like a home tournament for her. So there was no 100 to 1 about her this year. Who's your last pick?
Oh, my last pick. This is tough, Flash. I feel like I'm stepping in front of a freight train, but I'm willing to do it. I'm taking Caroline Wozniacki in her final tournament, her farewell tour, her retirement. She's going to take on Diana Yastremska, who has played fantastically to start the season here. She has a new coach, Sasha Bayan. Sasha Bayan, the one who was able to rise Naomi Osaka to unknown heights that we had never expected from her before. He's a great coach, and he has her playing in great form. So I'm a little scared jumping in front of a freight train. But I'm looking at this price. I have a former Australian Open champion in Caroline Wozniacki, and I'm getting plus 155. I think that's just absurd. Also, Wozniacki looking better than we've seen her play ever before in the last 6 months. She looks healthy. She looks ready to go. If Wozniacki's at the top of her game, she could really struggle Yastremska. Similar to the Gorgas Martic handicap, Wozniacki is going to make Yastremska hit multiple winners to actually record a winner. She has great court coverage, some of the best court coverage we've ever seen in the history of the women's game. And at the top of her form, she could win this tournament again. That's how good she is. Yastremska, could she win the tournament? Of course she could. Fantastic young talent, hits the cover off the ball, and fantastic serve too. But what I'm looking here is I get the veteran presence of Wozniacki at a great price in her farewell tournament. I'm going to take the plus 155 and hope that the feel-good story continues over the young upstart Yastremska.
The bonuses you've got with that plus 155 is there's no fear, nothing to lose, and she can throw caution to the wind. And when you put them three things together with Wozniacki, even maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago, when she plays with freedom in her tennis, that's the best time. You couldn't get a better Wozniacki. But all of a sudden, when she tightens up, I fear for you if you go behind. If you get in front, I think she gets the job done. You need to start right, and she'll just free row. She'll free run on it. She'll free run. But there's some great prizes there. Plus 155, plus 105, plus 115, minus 125, plus 300 from James. Nothing surprising there. And minus 110. James, I'm going to come back to you. Is there anybody that's really caught your eye, men's or women's, so far?
Let's have a quick look. So, I mean, I would say it's been the kind of start to a tournament that makes you both enjoy it because it's just a bit different, it's a bit unusual, but also it puts you a little bit on edge. I mean, I had to watch a lot of tennis over the past 24 hours. Not that that's a bad thing, but you know, you have to really keep up with it. I think the top guys have looked pretty clean so far. Obviously, Djokovic struggled a little bit against Struff, but none of them really looked like they've been in any particular form. I mean, Karlovic, the veteran, he's still playing. He's over 40 now. That was a very, very impressive win over Pospisil. He was just absolutely clinical on serve. But beyond that, I mean, I have to say, I think it's looked like one of those tournaments it's waiting. We're still waiting for some of the more exciting matchups to happen. You know, Kyrgios, he looked pretty clinical in his first round. He looked very clean. Yeah, Team looked very clean. Kachanov looked all right, pretty clean. So I'm still expecting the more exciting matches to come, the more exciting matchups. And I probably couldn't call an individual yet, to be honest.
Okay, Spread, you didn't do our outright show. Can you give me your tip for the men's and the women's, please?
Okay, so on the men's side, I went fairly chalky. Pre-tournament, I took Djokovic. I got like plus 110 on him, and I just think that if he's in form, he rolls through the draw. Will there be questions maybe with his fitness or handling the conditions? But with this rain coming in, it doesn't look like those conditions are going to be present. So I definitely like having that Djokovic ticket in my pocket. Not necessarily a long shot, but I did have to throw in someone with bigger odds. So I took Daniil Medvedev. He finished the year fantastic. Great serve. And the thing with Medvedev is, do we have to worry about fatigue with this guy? I mean, they joke that he's a machine and a robot. He plays week after week and throws up good results. With some players maybe coming off the 5-set matches, we might be a little worried if they play 2 or 3 in a row. The fatigue's going to kick in. And the thing that I love about taking Medvedev is I don't need to worry about fatigue. He's in the same side as Nadal. I might anticipate that matchup coming off a very close, tight U.S. Open final. And if they play again here on this quicker service, I think it favors Medvedev. He's got a great chance to advance. And if I can get both those guys in the final, I would be quite happy. So those were my outrights on the men's side. On the women's side, I took Ash Barty at home. I thought she looked great going into the tournament. Obviously, the quicker service favors her slice backhand. She can keep the ball low. She serves well, can hold serve fairly easily. She's just a bulldog on the court. Great effort at all times. And my long shot was the player that you guys discussed, Danielle Collins. I got her about 2 to 3 weeks before the tournament, and an absurd 125 to 1. So I had to make that as a value play. Wow. Probably will be hedging off because I don't know if she can win the whole tournament. But at 125 to 1, I couldn't pass that up. So those are the 4 outright tickets that I have in my pocket right now.
She could 100% win the whole tournament. That is an insane price. I also like how you said it in English or European odds. That makes me a little bit happier. 125.
Oh, Spread's adopted. Honestly, he's like a chameleon. Yeah. He can change colours, him. If it's NFL, NBA, college basketball, NHL, tennis. Don't worry about that. By the end of the year, we'll have him on Olympic dominoes. Right. The other thing I was going to say to you is, though, Spread, you're in great company with Medvedev because James, Wild Kappa, and I have all gone for Medvedev. We think he's the boy to break into this top 4, or if he's not number 4 at the moment, then he'll break into the top 3 at some stage this year. Listen, gents, it's been great fun. We're going to go again Thursday morning. We're going to go early. Obviously, it's down under. They're early. So are we. 9:30 Eastern time on Thursday morning. And we're going to go through the Australian Open. And we're going to give you winners. So, James, keep up the great work. Spread, great debut. Will be assessed by your winners. I'll see you both soon.
See you later, Flash. Cheers.
Cheers, boys. That's James and Spread. Obviously, Wild Kappa and Snize are on the sidelines, but they'll be giving you winners as well. Listen, they don't miss a trick, them boys. Tomorrow is La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, and on Thursday, as I said, we're going to go Australian Open again. There'll be no Premier League punters this week because it's the FA Cup. We've done it as a midweek programme. Just let me remind you again, 60,000 subscribers. They can't be wrong. Press that button, subscribe, ring the bell, and we will let you know when every single video is coming on, so you don't have to miss it. I'll be here waiting for you. I hope you're there waiting for me. See you soon. Take care.